Okay, let's stick with this story because it's not just employees that are going to be affected, it's all the thousands of Canadians who sell their products to HBC. So let's turn now to Olivia Glauberzon. She is the owner of After 9, an athleisure brand for mums in pregnancy and beyond. Now, her company had merchandise in 2 Hudson's Bay's locations in Ontario, and we've reached her today in Toronto. Olivia, thanks for making some time for us today. I bet it's been a stressful day.
Oh, yes, it's been a stressful week, I would say, but the situation, we saw it coming, so I braced myself.
So tell us about your situation, because you sell these goods for mums and you put your heart and soul into this business and you get this amazing opportunity to sell your wares at 2 different Bay stores in Ontario. And I understand one of those locations is going to survive the liquidation. So what does this mean for you and your stuff that's at the other store that is going to be liquidated?
So we actually, we pulled a lot of our inventory on Wednesday because as a small made in Canada brand, we can't risk our inventory getting mixed in with the liquidation goods, and shoppers shopping on liquidation are not interested shopping full price. So to have our stuff sit there in a sea of liquidated items just didn't make sense anymore. But it is a really sad, this whole situation is very sad. When we first started with Hudson's Bay in 2022, this was so exciting and there was so much promise and potential. And it's just really unfortunate to see the way it's rolling out.
Now, when you say you took your stuff off the racks, you just took it back from the store? And does that mean that's a financial loss for you?
So the reality is the Hudson's Bay hasn't had a lot of traffic. Like the traffic has just been on a steady decline. Black Friday, for instance, barely anyone was in there. Both locations, I've watched the decline in Queen and Oakville. So After Nine's revenue hasn't been dependent on Hudson's Bay for over a year and a half, but we kept our stuff in there because we really believe that moms need access to in-person shopping experiences. So we've pulled our inventory to focus on some of the luxury boutiques, luxury bra boutiques we've partnered with, and maternity stores to provide them with that inventory.
We've seen so much analysis, Olivia, in the last couple of weeks about how HBC was running its operations, that it was really not great at communicating. It wasn't in line with what's happening in the stores versus what's happening on the website. How did you find them as a business to work with?
In the beginning, we had a dedicated rep for the licensees, which is the relationship I had with Hudson's Bay. We are not a wholesale account, so we had been paid almost this entire time. So I would say in the beginning, when we had that dedicated rep, it was a great partnership. We were really building together. We were running events in Hudson's Bay, and we were both benefiting from the partnership. However, once that person left head office, the communication just went radio silent. And we were operating on a unrenewed contract for over 6 months. So with the news of Hudson's Bay potentially going bankrupt, it was just time to pull our inventory, which we own.
Which you own. Okay. So, and you said the Bay really hasn't been the source of a lot of income for you. So that tells us something about how they've been running their business and how other retailers might be doing it more successfully. So where have you seen growth?
Yes. So here's the thing about Hudson's Bay. It's a big place. Even in the smaller Hudson's Bay, it's still quite big. And shoppers really need a personal touch. So as I guess the Bay was trying to cut costs and staff, the same person working the cash would end up working the floor. And then every time they stepped away from the cash to help a customer, a whole lineup of customers would build up at the cash, leaving other customers on the floor in a lurch. So we found our sales in Hudson's Bay were quite successful when we were there at the section, personally talking to shoppers. However, when our contract didn't get renewed and the communication went silent, that's when we stopped showing up and let our sales, I'm going to say, passively, we'd passively be on the floor. So our stuff was on the floor, but no one was actively manning the section unless a customer booked an appointment through the After 9 website where we would show up to serve them specifically. I think retail is very much a people business. It's a personal business. Customers, when they come into a store, they want to be greeted by someone, especially when they're looking for something in such a big place. So I think that was a huge part of where the decline in sales, at the floor level were happening in Hudson's Bay.
Olivia, you're giving us such a good insight, not only as a business owner dealing with the Bay, but as an analyst, really, of what's happening in the retail sphere. And, you either want it really efficiently online and not have to deal with anyone, or as you said, you want a more, for lack of a better word, luxurious personal experience. Like, this is someone who knows me and knows my taste and will cater to it. Like, I walk through the Bay that's going to survive on Queen Street every day on my way home from work. And I'll tell you, those escalators don't work. And then it makes the place look depressing. And so all of this has contributed. I mean, it's a thing, people have said that. When you're this big, luxurious department store and the escalators haven't worked in months, it brings down the mood. So with that in mind, and since your stuff is at the Queen Street store, considering everything that's happening with the Bay and in retail in general, do you want to keep your stuff there beyond this immediate experience of liquidation?
Yeah. So Natasha, just to correct you, our stuff we pulled it on Wednesday. So
right.
We have
from both stores. You took it out of both stores?
Yes.
Oh,
I took it out of both stores.
Okay.
Because again, even though Queen is remaining open, and Queen, they call it the Queen store. Like, it is the place to be when you're in Hudson's Bay. Right. And it was so sad it was heartbreaking to do that. But again, as a small made in Canada operation, to have our goods sit in a sea of liquidated items, especially when we own the inventory, and there's a big risk that they could get misstickered, with like liquidation. We've seen misstickering in the past where our goods have been marked down without our approval. So because of that, I just couldn't take the risk.
Okay. Olivia Glauberzon, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck with your business.
Thank you.